This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform, and here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. Okay, we're going to another issue, but just a couple of these comments that I need to share. Kwame Esiedu Sapon says that religion is a very emotive subject, even when we have guidance from the 19th century, an educational act, and a memorandum of understanding on religious practices. We can't agree. Wow, what a people. Then Dr. Kwame Asante says that as a traditional person, can my children also practice their faith in both Christian and Muslim schools, bearing in mind that we, the traditionalists, are the owners of all the lands that these schools occupy? Dr. Asante, I hear you. And then Prof. Douglas says that thanks for the way the discussion has gone. At the end of the day, the most important truth is simple. We are one people, different backgrounds, different beliefs, different traditions, but one nation, one destiny, one humanity. Let us be careful. Let us be wise. Let us not allow religion to become the knife that cuts the fabric holding us together. No faith teaches hatred. No God celebrates division. No scripture rewards the breaking of a nation. When religion is used to unite, we rise. When religion is used to divide, we fall. History has shown this too many times. Okay, thank you very much. And that's from Professor Douglas Boatin. It's also a very long one. Somehow today, all the messages you are sending, it doesn't look like you can send short messages. All of you are sending very tall articles, but I like the positive, tones that we have in almost all the messages. And so there is ongoing the Eco Bank, the Republic Bank, and Love FM, Habitat Fair going on in Kumasi. So if you are looking for your dream home, that is where it starts. It's a 3-day fair, and it's ongoing at the Kumasi City Mall. The Lands Commission is on site. Get your land documentation sorted, quick and easy. ECG is also on site. You need a meter, got billing issues, walk in, walk out, problem solved. Republic Bank is ready. Whether it's financial support or the best mortgage deals, they've got you covered. And don't miss the DBS Roofing's Bosu Free promo. Pay only for the roofing. The installation is absolutely free. So please, listen to my invitation. This is obviously, call it a Black Friday event. Visit the Republic Bank Love FM Habitat Fair at the Kumasi City Mall today and tomorrow to enjoy all of these happening right there in Kumasi. So now let's go to Kpandai, because there's some problem brewing there. The person who lost the elections, NDC's candidate, he was previously the one who held that seat. And he won it by about 52% or so. And Matthew Yindam at the time managed about 40-something, percent of the votes then. Now, in 2024, Matthew Yindam turns things around. And he wins by 53% plus. And this candidate doesn't make it. So he goes to court. Of course, that's the right place to go. He goes to court. I'm talking about Daniel in Salah, Wakpa. He goes to court complaining that something went wrong. Something went wrong. As many as 41 of the polling station votes or so, he feels were tampered with. And the court gave a decision called bench ruling. So as we speak, there's no judgment all of us can read to understand how the court arrived at the decision. But it's allowed. So the court gave a decision and said the election verdict was tainted, and therefore by irregularities, and therefore it's been invalidated. 30 days, there must be a rerun. He went to Parliament and a fight began to ensue. Let's begin to look at that issue. Yes, so yes, you are in Parliament, you are familiar with these things. How do you appreciate what happened?
Well, I mean,
what is happening?
For myself and my brother Mercy, we say this is a usual thing. I mean, you go to election, you win or you lose. And if you lose and you have a very strong objection, you object, you go to court, which is the right place to go, rather than maybe try to create a confusion at the polling station and sometimes get people lose their life. So that's the right thing to do. And instances we've seen where the court at the High Court will agree with you, but the person that you usually will appeal. And I've seen Honorable Dr. Al-Hassan in, I think, after the 2004 election, had a challenge. Yes, I think so, yes, had a challenge. The court, the same Tamale, ruled that the place should be run again, but he appealed. I mean, so graciously, the same rule applies. That time it was Honorable Sachi Hughes. So allowed the appeal. And when the appeal came, it went back to Dr. Yakubu that no, the decision of the High Court was wrong. So he stayed as a member of Parliament till he finished. Also, one that I can also remember vividly was Honorable Dan Abadapi, when he was sentenced and after the 2005 election. Between 2005 and 2007, he was jailed for causing financial loss. He appealed, and during the process of the appeal, the seats kept waiting until, unfortunately, the matter couldn't be even determined till it was election again. Because it was never conclusive till it was election again. So there was no rush to replace it. So I would say, as a member of Parliament who have been in their house for over 2 decades, we've seen this again and again and again. I've cited example from our side, where I mentioned Honorable Dan Agwadapi and Honorable Dr. Alasan Yakubu from Miao when this thing happened. There are so many others that had happened where the High Court makes ruling, you go to the appeals court, and sometimes they're the decision of the High Court is turned down. We don't know what's going to happen. The Member of Parliament, I'm told by law, has 7 days. I've heard him say that he has filed for the appeal. So let the law run its full course. I'm only worried about the way, I mean, all of us, when decision of the courts happens and we are not happy, we have every right to comment on them and to make and state our factual disagreement. But to go insinuating and calling names, I mean, it weakens our democracy.
Is it insinuating? Let's hear Afenyoma King what he had to say, and that's the point of disagreement.
The judiciary must know that their actions and inactions to serve the interests of whoever their paymaster is has the tendency of destroying our peaceful republic. We will not mince words. They can conspire to call us one by one for a so-called contempt of courts. We are criticizing their shameful conduct. We are not afraid. We are ready to be in Nsawam for their so-called contempt. The sad part of it is that the NDC candidates and his supporters were aware of the judgment before the day, to the extent that on the day of the said judgment, the regional minister led a team of NDC party faithfuls into the courtroom, anticipating the expected result.
So typically, if any ordinary lawyer makes these statements, they will be on the way to actually go to jail for contempt. But he is minority leader. So he has a certain leverage, and he's doing a certain public commentary, which perhaps the democracy will permit.
I'm worried because, Robert, we're in November. Remember last year this time, what he was saying about the court. And since then, I don't know whether this High Court judge who was appointed this year. I mean, you see, my worry is that, and all of us sometimes get guilty of it when the emotions go, but you have to be careful the way you do the criticism. Because this one, like I said, that's why I was calling it insinuations. It goes beyond just criticizing the decision. One, you are painting the whole judiciary with the same brush. This is a lawyer, this is a minority leader.
You guys are guilty of the same.
You are saying that paymasters. You are saying that they knew the possible outcome. Samson, you are a lawyer, and you and I have been in court a number of times, right? And there have been instances when we are going, we expect, and you tell me, I mean, you sometimes tell me, this one is 50-50. It could go this way, it could go that way. You tell me it's 50-50, it will go this way. And sometimes I tell them, okay, if it goes this way, what should we do? If it's that way, what should we do?
That's right.
And I prepare for any of the 50-50, isn't it?
That's right.
So how do you then say that based on that 50-50 that you, my lawyer, told me, and I prepare in a certain response, it means that the judge is paid? I mean, when you do this, we then, by our action and inaction and comments, weaken the very judiciary that we expect to be strong. Because now, let's assume, if we go to the appeals court and they tender the decision of the High Court judge, should the majority that come out and say that the appeal court judges are also corrupt and they've been paid by you and all that? I mean, so I'm worried about the posture of the minority leader. And I think that, yes, it's not immune completely, but I want to believe the judiciary may be hesitant because of the position that it's occupying and the possible rancor and political division that it may create. But I must say that it's very disappointing to hear the minority leader say this, and I expect them to be more responsible as a minority leader in this comment. I mean, we were in the leadership, and something you will bear me, there have been instances emotions go so high.
But still.
But we need to be measured. And I maybe I should assist him by telling him that he must learn and get his facts right. You remember when, after the former majority leader, Honorable Chairman Sabons, after we elected Speaker, said that, oh, we were bribing, we were trying to influence some of their members. Then, out of emotion, I said that, you who were trying to influence the other. In the case, you even were trying to get some swing judges to influence some members. You remember the heat I had to go through? I had to apologize. Because, I had to apologize. I didn't mention any specific name. I just said that, we know that you have even used a Supreme Court judge to do this. And something you knew, and as I know, that look, we had the phone number because it was unknown. We had the conversation 8 minutes, but the court will not give us the order for MTN to give us the audio. So I said that, look, you, my colleague, who told me this information, you told me you have recorded it, not knowing that it was swept, it was clean on her phone. So we didn't have it. And everybody said that, look, but this one, Sam George is the communication minister. So he was the one who did all the tracking, all the numbers and everything with lawyer Tatuchi Carter and others. They were all saying that, no, Mutika, you have to stand your ground. I said, no. Ethics should be very, very important. Once we cannot get the actual evidence, it will be unfair for the other Supreme Court judges. Because if I had mentioned a specific judge, it will be between myself and that judge. Now I've said the whole Supreme Court judges. And now the very evidence we're relying on is destroyed. And we can't have it from the court because the court will not grant us to go to MTN to get it. I think that the most decent thing to do is to apologize. And I did apologize. And I have no regret apologizing because if it was down to me, I expect an apology. I want the minority leader to know that being in leadership position comes with a lot of responsibility. And managing that with your emotion and what you say and what you don't say is very, very important. And also, as is the lead person, I was a whip.
You, the majority, have already pushed him to the wall, especially with this ECOWAS Parliament matter. Yes. And now they actually held a press conference just yesterday. Patricia Appiah-Jay, the deputy, asking the Speaker to apologize and so on, and then the petition citing him to the Privileges Committee to be withdrawn unconditionally, among others.
But I mean,
why do you cite your minority leader
because
to appear for discipline at the
You remember before,
Privileges Committee?
When we were taking that decision in the chamber, try and get the video, I spoke and I gave the history. I'm with all humility, Samson, and with the greater respect to our listeners, I am nobody. But my brother here knows, by the grace of God, I've been the longest serving whip this country has ever seen. I've served as majority whip and minority whip. And he knows. There's something we call in the parliament, we call the chamber dynamics. I'm gifted with it. He knows. I'm very good. But God has given me that gift. I'm able. That day, I predicted this. And I sent a caution to him that don't go to ECOWAS Parliament and embarrass us. Because when you do, it will trigger parliamentary privileges. I don't know. He didn't listen. Because what we do in the House and took a decision, you go and contrary against that decision. So much as individual, in an external parliament, like ECOWAS Parliament,
her consent was never sought. She just heard the announcement for her to take over his place. She can't do that.
It is something that is in the House, and he knows. I came to meet it. Honorable Chairman Sabunso, they were there from the beginning because he was there from 1996. When they created the parliament, they did start that it's a mixture of leadership and middle and back benches. So, for example, in ECOWAS, it has always been the chief whip on both sides. Then you have other members going. Then in Pan-African Parliament, you have the deputy speaker, the deputy leaders, and other members going. By the time it got to my turn as whip, I was already a backbencher member of the Pan-African Parliament. Then I persuaded the House that, can you kindly allow me, I've built some experience here, instead of switching to ECOWAS Parliament, to remain in Pan-African Parliament. And the House graciously agreed. That's how come the regime then changed. Then the whips now are in Pan-African Parliament and deputy leaders. So it is for the position. So if, for example, we send a deputy majority whip, and then you lose that position, you are supposed to be out. In my case, remember when we were removing leadership? In fact, there were attempts to replace me. But I was chairing the Finance Committee of Pan-African Parliament. Then the Deputy Speaker, Osewusu, Honorable Osewusu, together with the senior member, Honorable Collins, went to the Speaker to say, look, Honorable Muntaka, yes, by virtue of being removed from the leadership, automatically loses his position. But we are pleading that because he chairs the Finance Committee of Pan-African Parliament, taking him out will mean Ghana will lose that position. But we are love only 5 months.
Why couldn't the same thing be done for Afenyo?
No, but the reality is that the reality is that there are other privileges. That day, remember, on the floor, I even threatened, look, I will list all the privileges that the leaders have, why they don't go to the Pan-African Parliament and ECOWAS. And they are kept to IPU and CPA. IPU is International Parliamentary Union, and then CPA is Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. The privileges the leaders have in the House, believe me, it is something that if you are a backbencher, you hear it. You are not careful. Every day you be fighting with your leader.
But in any case, the deputy says, I don't want to keep it.
No, you see the optics of it. And I'm sorry to say that you can't expose private conversations. Look, it is not for her to say that I don't want. Because it's a position that is meant for her. Yes, I know there have been instances where people say that, like Bejra. No, sorry, Aveji. Mm-hmm. Aveji was supposed to go. Then he says that, look, I'm leaving it for Bejra, Honorable Bejra to go. I will keep the chairing of the public accounts and allow Honorable Bejra for my caucus to go replace me. But even that, the House has to take a decision. And the House took a decision, said, okay, we agree with you. In his case, the House disagreed with him. I can tell you, because that decision is not for individual. I can say that, I want Honorable Susan to replace me. But the House must take that decision. In his case, the House disagreed with him and said, no, we are not going to allow a leader to go. Because if a leader goes, it is going to distort the House.
Okay. And we just had a discussion about prudence.
Yes.
Where we say, better not go to court, sit around and solve this. Why do you want to punish and discipline a leader?
It is because when that happened, all the signal was sent to him, including some of us who were in leadership. And I told him that, look, I'm saying it with all the sincerity of my heart because I've been in the leadership longest. And the speaker, fortunately, has also been in the house much longer than me. And he has been in the house because he served as minority leader and all deputy speaker longer. So please don't. And we thought that he was going to take clue. But he still insisted and went to Abuja and, for lack of a better word, misbehaved and embarrassed the country. And for that, he has to be punished. If you don't do that, what precedent will you be setting tomorrow? When the House takes a decision and sends you a signal that we know you can go and do this, if you do, there will be these consequences. And then you still go ahead and did it and created all the embarrassment in Abuja. And if you get away with it, because you are a minority leader, tomorrow if another member does the same, what will we do?
Okay. So I'll come to Japan Mesa, and the Interior Minister has to leave us. Thank you very much. Honorable Nus of Seni is still on the line with us as well. On this Matuyindam situation, Japan Mesa, look, so they go to the court and they say 41, is it, did I say constituencies? 41 polling stations are affected. And then eventually the judgment affects the whole process. Why is it difficult for the minority to accept that this can be a judgment that is not tainted by some paymasters or a judgment that, you know, a judge has to do through, call it a shameless process? Because sometimes you go to court and the things you ask for, you may not get those things. You may get different results.
Samson, it's interesting you introduce this angle that sometimes you go to court and you may not get what you ask for. You may get different things. I'm not so sure that you go to court and get more than what you ask for. I'm not so sure. And I'll be surprised if you yourself personally were not scandalized when you heard the decision that has been delivered by the court. It will be fair for us to await the full judgment to enable us render a proper critique of the decision. But for the petitioner to ask for the annulment of 41 polling stations, where the issues that he complained of actually took place, and the court to say that he has annulled the entire election and has ordered a rerun of all the 152 polling stations. Amazing. Amazing. Of course, you remember the elections petition, Nana Akufo-Addo versus the Electoral Commission, John Mahama, the kind of statements that the Supreme Court made, that you cannot invalidate the vote of voters merely on account of some action not having been taken by the electoral officers. So to invalidate the entirety of the vote in Kpandai, because someone complained of 41 polling stations, which if the court was minded to, and that if it had indeed been established that there were some irregularities in those polling stations, it would be acceptable, if you like, if the court had said that it was invalidating the 41 polling stations for the electoral commissioner to conduct a rerun in those polling stations, rather than invalidating the entirety of the result. And it's surprising to me that our friends...
Do you know, we don't have any of the lawyers on the platform now, but do you know what must have led to invalidation of the entire rather than the 41? Because it is possible that in assessing the 41, the judge could have come to a decision that the 41, they taint the rest.
Yep. How so? When evidence would have been laid on the 41 polling stations that the petitioner himself complained of. How so? The rest of the polling stations were not an issue. Okay?
Yeah,
and so to suggest that, well, you complain of 41 polling stations, and ordinarily, if I was making any determination on the fact before me and the evidence before me, I'm to restrict myself to the facts and evidence before me and make a determination. But I'm going beyond that and invalidate the entire polling result of the constituency. It's far-fetched. But it will be good, like I said, for us to see the full judgment. Because
what if the 41 polling stations results put together
doesn't matter.
Change the entire...
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doesn't matter at all. That's why if the outcome of the 41 would impact the generality of the result, you order a rerun.
Okay.
Limited to the areas where the infractions took place, not the entire constituency. How does that even come about? And so if you get decisions like this, why is it surprising when responses in the nature that the minority leader delivered come? It's to anybody.
You endorse the response?
Certainly. Because you see, Samson, we've heard people speak in this country. We've heard the kinds of things that people have said. We've heard the statements relative to a certain reset of the judiciary started. And so if you have a judge who is determining a particular matter based on the facts and evidence before him, goes beyond and invalidates the entire result of the constituency, you have cause to question what motive that the judge has other than law to make those statements. So certainly, I endorse the statement a majority leader made. Okay, and the danger.
The judge did the bidding of the paymasters.
The danger that decisions like this potentially has on our democracy. So what the judge effectively is saying that in future elections, all you have to do is to create chaos in 2, 3, 4, 10 polling stations, and that will be ground for invalidating the result of the entire constituency.
That's a high court. That decision is not binding on all courts.
I don't have a problem, but that's.
I get the analogy.
Of course, election petitions are matters that are subject to high court jurisdiction. So is that what the court is saying? It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, and we should not allow the judiciary to be weakened to the point where you will get comments like this coming from affected persons. If you say you are resetting the judiciary, people who called the Supreme Court unanimous FC because they themselves had submitted a petition that was completely baseless and empty. And because of that, the Supreme Court did not agree with them. They called them all sorts of names. They are offended. Say it again.
This is a tit for tat.
What is it for that?
Because they talked that.
I'm saying that the people who have used much more derogatory words against the court are today offended by people who are unhappy with a certain decision of the court and are drawing attention of the court.
Do you recall the comments that got Dominic Ayene, Dr. Basit, Abdul Basit Bamba, and so on, for punishment, and even the Supreme Court had to, as it were, tamper justice with
Yes, I do.
They were not this,
They were not like this.
Well, but of course, that was during the pendency of the matter before the court. The court has delivered this decision, okay, and the minority is entitled to criticize it. And if the outcome is suggestive of something other than law, how else do you want them to conclude?
That's not an objective view.
What would be an objective view then?
I'll bring what's the name? I'll bring Inusaf Seni on shortly. But as I mentioned earlier, and then we'll come to Susan, I want her to hear from the lawyers first. And I have a couple of questions for Inusaf Seni as a lawyer. The conduct that his side, the NDC side, put up in Parliament. So in 2020, Daniel, who has gone to court now, won with 52.11% of the votes, and then Matthew Yindam lost. He had 47.55%, and then in 2024, Matthew flipped the chart. He had 53.31%. And then Daniel had 46.69%, and that is where he's unhappy and has gone to the court. We'll be right back. All right, go to Inusaf Seni. This decision and the posture of the minority in the majority in the House, what do you say?
should be on his way to the General Legal Council.
Say that again. Say that again.
I said he should be on his way to the General Legal Council. Not because he's a minority leader, but because he's a lawyer. And he scandalized himself and his profession.
What if he has facts? What he has facts about the judge being paid?
So he goes there to show the facts. The facts will be his defense. He goes there to produce the facts as defense. But you can't scandalize the courts in the way he has done. As a lawyer, he can't do that. And he's a lawyer. So that's what you should understand. And secondly, I'm scandalized by the arguments of Agyapa Mensah. He's a lawyer. And that is the court of first instance, for God's sake. The decision is the court of first instance. And in the election petition, the decision ends at the Court of Appeal. And Martin Yindang has told everybody in Ghana that he's appealed against the decision. He's appealed the decision to the Court of Appeal. So why can't you wait and argue your case in the Court of Appeal? And he seems to have lost what happened in our recent history. How can you sit on TV and say that you can go to court and ask? And the court will give you what you have not asked for, and that will never happen. It happened. Afenyomakan went to court for an interim injunction to restrain the speaker from declaring the seat vacant. He was given a perpetual injunction. He was given a perpetual injunction. What can you say, Agyapa Mensah?
What did you say? Did you say that was allowed? That was okay?
Was it not?
What I'm saying that he didn't ask for it. Even Afenyomakan did not ask for a perpetual injunction.
Exactly. So you faulted the court for that, did you not?
I'm saying that he went to court to ask for an interim injunction. That's the argument. And he was given what he did not ask for.
And my question is, what did the NDC say? That judgment was procured by...
the proposition that you can go to court. The proposition that you can go to court and be given what you have not asked for, it cannot happen.
But is it not curious? That you have a petitioner who goes to court?
But I wrote it down.
Over 41 polling stations. As I understand, the 41 polling stations will give you a total of about 500 votes or so. I don't know if I get my figures correct about that. You would know. And the difference in the win between him and Yindam will be about 1,600. So if you faulted the 500, votes, it doesn't do anything. How do you go to nullify the whole results? That's the question.
So again, Samson, we must await the decision of the court, the written judgment of the court. But I worked in Kpandai. Before the elections and on the election day. And the collation center, which had been gazetted, was moved without notice to the petitioner, the party who petitioned in court. So you have to understand, you have to read the whole judgment to understand the thinking. But be it as it may, what I'm saying is that as lawyers, we know that the High Court's decision is a decision of a court of first instance. And an election petition doesn't end at the High Court. It ends at the Court of Appeal. And there are many cases, and in the Dr. Yakubu's case that they cited, I was involved in that case. The court used a mathematical formula to arrive at a decision that Dr. Yakubu was not validly elected as MP. The Court of Appeal reversed the decision and condemned the decision of the High Court. So you cannot run ahead of the total, determination of the matter. And that is why Speaker Bagman, keenly aware that the Court of Appeal, the High Court, is not the final court in an election petition, said Yindam cannot lose his seat until the Court of Appeal listens.
That's not what Bagman has said. Babin has said that the attempt to prevent Yindam from being in the house without waiting for the statutory 7 days of stay after a judgment is wrong.
But to be fair,
that's what Babin said.
Speaker
That's
added
what Babin
that,
said.
Yes, he added, if you may, he added that the filing of the motion for stay pursuant to the appeal could extend that 7-day statutory.
But it's
yes, he said he said so. I was listening to him.
Samson,
No,
but Samson, you know that even if a decision of a court is given statutorily and by practice and convention of the judiciary and of lawyers, we do not execute the judgment until after the expiration of 7 days.
Yes.
You know that. And we do that for good reason. Secondly, he's filed a stay of execution. Yes, the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court have said that a stay of execution does not operate as a stay of the execution of the judgment. So the High Court, or in fact, you have to file it in the High Court.
Okay.
The High Court will have to pronounce on it.
All right.
Then we know that the final court in an election petition is a Court of Appeal. So why will we run ahead of time?
Right.
So we can't criticize the decision of the High Court.
Thank you. But you will agree. You will agree that what the minority sought to do in Parliament was wrong. The very day the judgment is given, you are saying the man should not sit in the house, when by law there is automatic stay of the judgment for 7 days.
That's theatrics. That's Parliament. That's theatrics. But because the one who was saying so is also a lawyer, and he knows it. So that's theatrics.
But lawyers can get it wrong. Thank you very much. Yes, Susan.
But Samson, you should know that, I mean, if you are in Parliament and there is a decision annulling your elections, you will take steps to ensure that you vindicate your position and your election. And so Nyinda will try to take steps to vindicate the position that he was validly elected.
Okay.
And we
thank you. Let's give Susan the opportunity to also say something. Yes.
Good thing I'm not a lawyer, so I don't have long talk to do.
Exactly.
But I think that, like they have said, the speaker was on the right path. You know, 1st December will come and it will elapse, and so Honorable Yindam needs to prepare for a by-election.
He has filed an appeal and coupled that with a stay of execution. But the stay of execution, once it's served, it acts like you can't do anything until that has been determined by the Court of Appeal, by the High Court, and perhaps also by the
So maybe we'll do it
Appeal.
as quickly as we've done. I mean, in the past, we had electoral issues that took 4 years, and, you know, to Rebecca, whatever, had to have her name expunged. Now it's taking 11 months. Maybe this will take, even shorter, and it will go through. I think that our leaders need to watch their language and their posture. I think that the language of the minority leader was terrible, and that is not the way we want to see our leaders behave. You said he was under pressure, maybe coming from the issues in terms of the ECOWAS court, but it shows your true nature. Look, I mean, if you are an orange and you are squeezed, you get orange juice out. You understand? And so if for a leader, you cannot stand pressure, and this is the kind of language that you do because you are under pressure from other folks, it doesn't speak well of our leaders and of leadership. And I think that is not the time for leaders to do these kind of things. I mean,
Thank you, Susan.
Definitely is not leadership
Thank you, Susan.
material to be doing that.
Ken says, my concern is a lambasting the whole judiciary for the sins of a single judge. If this is even true, do not let anybody use a single court interchangeably with the judiciary. And a lawyer on the panel supports this. Bobo.
I agree with him.
My outfit, as always, is by Habil Scruter. Check on their socials and you'll find them. You can call them 0200 84 1988, 0200 84 1988, Habil Scruter. That's where you get the best of kaftans. Now, kaftans. And the Republic Bank Love FM Habitat Fair is ongoing, and today is the third day. It continues until tomorrow, and it's at the Kumasi City Mall. The Lands Commission is there. They will do your documentations for you. ECG is there. They will give you a meter or help you with your billing issues. And then the Republic Bank is there to help you with finance. If it's a mortgage you need, they will sort you out. Of course, DBS Industries is also there, and they are giving you free installation. You won't pay anything, absolutely free. Just buy the roofing sheets. I'm Samson Ladianyanine. This has been Newsfile. Have a good afternoon. Thank you all to my guests.